Hi guys, Jamie here from JB Motion. So I was messing around with the Mixamo character the other day and I noticed that his hand was going through the floor that I created for him to dance on, which was obviously annoying. But I said to myself that I could use the Collision Deformer to make it look like something I actually wanted to happen. So that's what you're seeing here in front of you on the screen. So that's what we're going to be doing today as well. We're going to be using the Collision Deformer to see how we can create that slight deformation just as our character's hand tries to go through the floor. We're also going to be looking at my lighting setup and how I went about achieving it. So let's get started on this. Here we go. We're going to bring in our guy first of all. Here he is here. Click OK. And let's double click somewhere in the center of this bar to extend it out to the amount of frames that our guy has. So hit play. And there he is there dancing away. So now we can set up our camera first of all. So we're going to have it somewhere over here, we'll say. So let's create one, make it active, and we can deactivate it for now. Now let's create our floor. We're going to use a plane for this. And we can use this little orange circle to increase the height. And this one here to increase the width. So something like that. And we need to increase the segments as well. So we're going to go up to say 60 and 60. Okay, so let's turn on our lines, N being your keyboard to do so. Now we can see how many lines we have on our floor. So now we can create a material for our guy, so he can be white, we'll say. And our floor, we'll create another one, let's call this guy. And this one is our floor. So our floor is going to be black. And we're going to add some reflectance. So let's add a Beckman. And let's set the attenuation to additive. I'm going to set up some Fresnel. So I'm going to go conductor. And for the preset, I'm going to go gold. So it's going to give us a nice, interesting reflection. Okay, so roughness we're turning up to about 16 or 18, something like that. And now we can hit Alt-R on our keyboard to open up our interactive render region. Let's just extend that out and bring up the quality of that. Okay, so now let's introduce some lights to our scene. Bring that up and let's bring it back. So position wise it's around here in the X and around here on the Y. I'm also going to bring it over along the Z axis as well to about here. Okay. Now we didn't apply our floor material to our floor yet, so let's do that now. And now you can see we're getting some nice, it's a bit rough, we might reduce the roughness actually. Down to about 12, maybe less, go 8 on that. Okay. Now let's go actually back into our floor and go into our color channel and just lighten this up a bit. Something like that. Now I don't want to see this specular here, that's being caused by this light here, so I'm going to turn that off. We can add a compositing tag, Cinema 4D tags compositing, and let's just turn off, what are we turning off? Actually no, we don't need that. We can just go into our light, go into the general tab, and we can turn specular off there. Let's increase the intensity to make up for that, up to 130%. And we can duplicate this light, hover over the Z axis, hold down Control, and then just click and drag. Okay, so now we have our two lights. We're getting some nice interesting results on our guy from that. So let's play a few scenes, a few frames of this. Okay, so I want to turn on ambient occlusion straight away. So open up your render settings and click on Effect, click on ambient occlusion. Okay, so it doesn't actually make much of a difference, so I might turn that off for now. So next what can we do now? So let's go to the part where our character actually collides with our floor. So it's around here, and this is where the hand actually goes below the surface. So that's not on purpose, that's just a problem with the motion capture data, I believe. Not sure how to fix that actually. But what I'm going to do is make an interesting effect using the collider, I think it's collider, the Collision Deformer. So let's actually add that in now. You can use the Collision Deformer to actually make it seem as though the hand is colliding with the floor, and it's creating an interesting kind of a push down effect. So let's make the collision. First of all, we need to make the collision object, or the collision deformer, a child of the floor. And now we need a collider. So let's create a sphere. And we can bring that down in scale. And let's maneuver it so it's in the same position as our hand that's connected with the floor. Middle mouse click to go into your top view, middle mouse click again. And now we can move this. Make sure you use your move tool and move this over to where the hand is going to be. So let's go back there, about there, we'll say. And we can bring the scale down a little bit more. Jump back into perspective. Now we need to make it so that this sphere is going to follow our hand around. So what we can do is find the hand joint here. So we go spine, spine again, neck, and its head, or probably shoulder. So we're going to go, it's going to be the right shoulder, right arm, forearm, and hand is here. So we can make the sphere a child of that, and now the sphere will follow the hand around. So let's go back to where we were. So this is where it's colliding with our floor. So right now there's nothing happening. So let's go into our collision object first of all and set the objects here to surface. We should also put a collider tag on our sphere. No, we don't need to do that actually. Apologies. We just need to go into our collision object, and in our colliders tab we drag in our sphere. So that's actually how you do that. We need to go into the object here and increase the strength, I believe. Okay, so I see what's going on. We're not seeing any effect because we have our interactive render region turned on. So let's turn that off. And now you can see that we're having the effect we're looking for. So it looks as if the sphere is pushing down on the floor. So if I just do a quick render to picture viewer here to see what that's looking like. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So we could probably make the sphere a bit smaller, I suppose. Let's actually just turn off the visibility of that sphere. We can use these traffic lights, not sure what they're called. Hold down Alt and click twice. That'll make our sphere invisible. Let's go back into our camera that we created earlier and let's get a better angle on this. Something like that, we'll say. And let's see what this looks like. Okay, so the sphere might be a bit big because it's giving us a weird kind of jump up there. Maybe we could reduce the size of it to fix that. So in your select your sphere object, make sure our scale tool is selected, and then we can just
So maybe we need to just bring it up actually. That could be the answer to that. So that looks like that might have fixed it. We're still getting a jump, so we'll bring it up a bit more. Something like that. Okay. Okay. And we also want to make the camera angle kind of maybe something like this we could go for. And let's actually bring up the sphere a bit more as well, because we want to make it look as though the hand is actually touching the floor. We might get away with this. Let's do a render to picture viewer and see what that looks like. So the hand is still clearly above the floor, so we need to figure out how we're going to fix that. So let's make our sphere smaller again. Something like this. So now our hand is actually, it looks like it is touching the floor, so that's a bit better. Scaling down our sphere seemed to have solved that problem for us. So let's watch that again. Okay, so that's a bit better. We can add more segments here. We can add more segments here to our floor. So let's just bring this up to about 100 and 100. So that's giving us more definition of the hand actually pushing down. So I want to open up my interactive render region again. Hit Alt-R on your keyboard to do so. Now remember, this isn't actually going to show us the deformation, so just keep that in mind. I'm just trying to have a look at the scene overall and see what it's starting to look like. So I want our guy to be a bit further over to the right of the shot, so I'm just going to make sure that your camera is active. I'm just going to move him over a bit. Maybe zoom out a little. And maybe rotate so I'm more to the side of the guy. Maybe something like this. See what that looks like. Maybe I want to rotate a bit more this way. And move up a bit, because our guy's not very central at the moment. Let's actually go into our camera, go into the coordinates tab and set this here to be -90. Okay, so that is actually looking better. Good old mathematics saved the day. Okay, so let's see what that's looking like now. Still want to bring my guy further over to the right of my shot, so I'll do that. And I think I'm happy enough with that angle of camera. Okay, so let's look more at our lighting now. So you can see we're getting some jagged edges along the leg there, so we can fix that by going into our render settings, going to anti-aliasing and setting this to best. We might get away with 2x2. Yeah, we'll get away with 2x2. And I want to grab my first light, which is this one, and I want to set the color of this to be kind of blue. So something like this on the hue, and then maybe something like this on saturation. So we're going to get a nice blue highlight there on the side, and then for the light.1 I want to set the color of this to be kind of an orangey color, so something like this on the hue and maybe something like this on the saturation, maybe less than that on the saturation, so something like that. It's looking pretty cool. So let's watch a few frames of this, see what it looks like. So we might need to crank up the anti-aliasing actually, because we're still getting a bit of jagged lines there, so let's crank that up. Still getting them for some reason. I wonder, is it our mesh? So I'm just going to put this into a subdivision surface object just to see what if that actually fixes any problem, or the problem I should say. I'm holding down Alt to do this now, so it'll automatically be added as a child to the subdivision surface. So just hold down Alt on your keyboard before you let go of your mouse. So that's with, and that is without. So that is actually solving the problem for us. So it's just smoothening, it's making the geometry more smooth is what this subdivision surface is doing. So that's looking a bit better now. Let's continue on watching this. So it's going to slow down our scene as well, and it will increase render time, but that is what you're looking for, a bit of a smoother specular highlights there, which is looking much better. Then the deformation happens. Oh yeah, again, fooled by the interactive render region. Turn that off, Alt R on your keyboard. Then we can do a render to picture viewer. So we're getting that nice deformation there, and it's in close enough proximity to the hand, so that's looking good. We want to put in a background as well. So let's do that now. Just add in a background object, and we can apply this floor material to it. And let's just fold away everything. Right click anywhere in your objects manager and just go to fold all. That'll fold everything away. And now we need to add a compositing tag to our floor object. Cinema 4D tags, compositing tag, I should say, and tick this compositing background box. Now if we do a render to picture viewer on that again, you'll see that our background is blended in with our floor. It's kind of brightened everything up a bit though, actually. It's not looking very good the way it is. Let's see. I don't think it needs to be on the background. It definitely has to be on the floor anyway. Let's see if that does anything. No, that doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, so I just had to pause the video there, and I couldn't figure out why we're getting a lighter color, and obviously because the color is light, so we just need to change the color to be darker, so we're not getting this kind of, the background we're looking for isn't this, obviously. So let's reduce the color, reduce the or make color more black is what I'm trying to spit out, and do another render to picture viewer on that. So that's looking way better. Okay, so Alt R on your keyboard so that we can just watch a few scenes of this, or frames, I keep saying scenes, and that's good to go, I think. I just want to check out the actual collision again, just one more time. So any second now, he's gonna, there he goes. So I'm not going to fall for the old interactive render region being on trick again. Okay, so I'll do a render to picture viewer, a couple of frames, see what this is looking like. Doesn't really look like much there, so we'll give him more of a chance. And hopefully we'll see some kind of a, so we're not seeing much in terms of deformation. Maybe we will increase the sphere size ever so slightly. So where is this? It's in here. So we can right click on this and just unfold all, and it should be, there it is. So let's just maybe increase the size of that and bring it up. That's just kind of cancelling out increasing the size of it anyway. Okay, so let's see what that looks like first of all. So it's still looking a bit rubbish because the hand is hovering above the floor. So when we're increasing the sphere, we are getting a more noticeable deformation, but the hand is not looking good there, hovering above the floor. So I'm trying to see, maybe a change of camera position could solve that for us. So if we went kind of like here and then rendered to picture viewer on that, see what that looks like. That's a bit more acceptable, I suppose. So maybe we could make a compromise with the camera angle and just kind of go for something like this. So that brings us to the end of the tutorial, guys. Hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.